Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Yeah, it's currently 2:35 in the morning. I was up till 3 o'clock last night playing AEW Fight Forever, and I'm still up trying to get caught up. I just took a bath, but I'm here just one more time. I will save the transactions and the video game stuff I would like to do for tomorrow. But one more time, guys, 6th video I'm doing today. Most of them done this evening. But what is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993. And I'm back here for another baseball news video. And this time we have 4 retirements that were officially announced within the past month. Now the funny thing is, though, is most of these players haven't played in a couple of years. Some several years. One tried to make a comeback. The other one just hadn't officially retired. And the other one I think is probably the closest was, I can't remember what year it was he last pitched, but he was trying to come back too at 39. And then, of course, Big Sexy himself, Bartolo Colon, which is the first one we're going to start off with, is Bartolo Colon, who officially ended his Major League playing career. I mean, well, baseball in general. He hasn't played in quite a while, but the last time he pitched at all was in 2021 when he pitched in an independent Mexican league. He played 21 years in Major League Baseball. Colon, who is now 50 years old, the Mets will retire. Colon, I think, is going to retire as a Met on September 17th as part of a tribute day in his honor at Citi Field. Again, Colon is 50 years old, has not pitched in the majors since 2018. Like I said before, he last pitched in an independent Mexican league in 2021. He'll close the book on a career with 565 career games with 11 different teams, a 4.12 ERA, 3,461 and 2/3 of an innings pitched, a 4-time All-Star, the 2005 American League Cy Young winner, and 1 career home run that he hit when he was 46, 45. I think he became the oldest player to ever hit their first major league home run, and it was iconic. It was in San Diego against the Padres when he was with the Mets, which I will say this first off, the Mets was when Colon's career got revived. I mean, he kind of was on the right track back with the Athletics, but with the Mets, I think that's when he will probably maybe be best known. I mean, but between that, his time with the White Sox, maybe Indians, but White Sox and Angels also as well. He also won 247 career games. And that's the most by any pitcher born in the Dominican Republic. His career began all the way back in 1997 with the Indians. He had struggled originally, but then, of course, he became a workhorse from 1998 to 2001, pitching a 3.91 career ERA at over 819 innings. He got off to a phenomenal start in 2002 with a 2.55 ERA before he was traded to the Montreal Expos, now, of course, Washington Nationals. The Indians received guys like Cliff Lee, Grady Sizemore, Brandon Phillips, and Lee Stevens in that trade. Of course, 3 of them we would know would have some solid major league careers. He, though, didn't pitch as well with the Expos, had a 3.31 ERA, and he was traded to the White Sox that offseason. He pitched a career-high 242 innings in 2003, posting a 3.87 ERA, and then he became a free agent, signing a 4-year deal with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And then, of course, he struggled with a 5.01 ERA in his first season. He then delivered his Cy Young Award win in 2005, where he racked up a league-leading 21 wins and 33 starts with 3.48 ERA and 22 2/3 of an inning. Unfortunately, after that, for a while, Colon was then hampered with injuries. And honestly, if you could tell me 10 years ago, or even like 12 years ago, that Bartolo Colon would still be pitching into the late 2010s, I would have told you were crazy, especially with the injuries he had. Again, he was talking about injuries. He only pitches about 101 innings over the next 3 seasons. And he also suited up for the Red Sox in 2008, returned to the White Sox in 2009, and then he missed the entire 2010 season with shoulder injuries. And I seriously thought around that time Bartolo Colon was done. But then he came back in 2011 and signed a minor league deal with the Yankees. Had a solid season, got to the majors, posting a 4 ERA, 164 and a third inning. And then at 38 years old in 2011, he would go on to pitch more than 150 innings in each of the following 5 seasons. 5 seasons after when he was 38 years old, which, of course, with the Athletics and the Mets. Although in 2012, he did get hit with a 50-game suspension for PEDs. And then, of course, from 2012 to 2016, he had been an all-star. He got it with the Athletics, posting a phenomenal 2.65 ERA and 190 1/3 innings of work, getting to a 6th place finish in the Cy Young Award voting. He had his 4th and final All-Star game at the age of 43 with the Mets in 2016. After making it to the World Series with the Mets in 2015, he posted a 3.43 ERA at that age, which is incredible. He pitched, of course, a time with the majors, but then in the playoffs. But then after that, he then left the Mets and split time between the Braves, Twins, and Rangers before making his final major league appearance at the age of 45. And then over that period of time, wasn't the same. Only pitched a 6.13 ERA and 289 1/3 of an inning. He basically became like a big hero and like basically a big attraction. Adopting the nickname Big Sexy because of his fun-loving personality, everyman physique, and the general appeal of an ageless veteran hurler getting by low velocity, but just unbelievable like chemistry he had on the field. He definitely was quite a character. And again, like the big pop and craziness he got in 2016 when he was 45 years old, 1 and 2. He became the oldest player in Major League history to hit a home run. Their first career home run, that is. Unreal. Now, he does, I won't deny, his numbers make him look just a little bit overrated. But I honestly would not be surprised if he did eventually get into the Hall of Fame. Do you think he's worthy of it? I kind of do. The numbers, yeah, they're spread over 21 seasons. But, like, the story he had, where like in that middle period of his career, he was seemingly done, but was able to come back from it, well, other than the 1 PED suspension. But the reputation, I think he might have a shot at the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I'm not 100% positive he will get in, but I think he has a chance. And technically, since the last Major League game he pitched was 2018, wouldn't he technically be able to be on the ballot this coming year? He might. Unless if, there's this new role in there where since he only officially retired now, but I thought it was 5 years since your last game you played. But you never know. Maybe he will. I think he has a chance. We'll see, though. But yeah, congratulations to Bartolo Colon for sure on an excellent career, and always giving the good time every time you're on the field. Okay, the next one, though, I talked quite a bit about Big Sexy. The next one, I'm not going to talk quite as much about, but decent amount at least. Cole Hamels. It's been a while since we've heard about him. He announced back on August the 4th that he signed a minor league deal, hoping to work his way back to the majors in San Diego. I believe his hometown, because I think I read one time in one of my Baseball Digest magazines also, he was a huge San Diego Chargers fan at one point. But unfortunately, his comeback attempt ended, and he announced his retirement. Known best for his time with the Phillies. He was drafted originally number 17 out of San Diego, out of high school back in 2002. By the time he'd wrap up his first professional season with 101 innings of 134 ERA, he basically got rocket shipped up top pretty high. And then, of course, he went on to become one of the generation's finest pitchers. He reached the majors less than 3 years after he was drafted, debuting with 5 shutout innings against the Reds in May of 2006. He also posted a decent 4.08 ERA and 132 and a third innings as a rookie, but then, of course, broke out with an all-star season, which they saw him finish 6th in the Cy Young Award voting the following year. Between 2006 and 2015, Hamels was awesome with the Phillies. His teammates, of course, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, and Jimmy Rollins became synonymous with the Phillies organization during their huge, playoff days, serving as the foundation that ultimately brought a World Series title to the city in 2008, and even, of course, they also almost won in 2009 as well, but they fell short to the Yankees. During that time, he fired. In 2008, he had a 227 and a third innings and a 3.09 ERA. But, of course, during the postseason, he pitched 35 innings with a 1.80 ERA, a 4-0 record, and took home the MVP honors for both the National League Championship Series and in the World Series. He then, of course, getting help to the Phillies in 2009, like I said. He had a relative down season in 2009, but rebound to fire 2.08 2/3 innings and 3.06 ERA ball in 2010. He had his second All-Star nod and a 5th place finish to Cy Young with a 2.79 ERA over 216 frames in 2011. Of course, they would fall off after that because of injuries, but he still, was solid down the stretch between 2012 and 2014, posting an ERA below 3.60. He also got another All-Star nod in 2012 and also down the ballot of Cy Young votes in 2 of those 3 years. And then, of course, he got signed to a contract extension midway 2012 for $144 million. And then, of course, at the 2015 market, though, whenever the Phillies were, out of contention, he was traded to the Rangers for some prospects, one of them including Jorge Alfaro. Where am I at here? Of course, he never really panned out elsewhere after that. Well, he still threw some solid ball for the Rangers for a little bit. He also got an All-Star nod, his 4th one in 2016, and helped the Rangers to the playoff berths. He then was traded to the Cubs in 2018, and he provided 12 starts of a 2.36 ERA run. The Cubs brought him back and had 3.81 with 20 ERA and 27 starts the following year. Then he signed with the Braves, but then shoulder injuries limited him to just 3 1/3 innings during the shortened schedule, which unfortunately at the time was his final major league outings. And of course, injuries robbed him the past couple of seasons. He was still, again, a very solid workhorse and somewhat underrated pitcher as well. All in all, he threw just under 2,700 innings, won 163 games, struck out 2,500 hitters through 17 complete games, and he also had a 3.41 ERA over 103rd postseason frames. Of course, he got highlighted from his 2008 run, helping the Phillies get to the World Series, which is definitely incredible. Again, I definitely think he was also a little overlooked at times, but Cole Hamels was definitely one of the toughest at his time. Of course, one of my favorite memories of Cole Hamels is again, in my Baseball Digest magazines, he was interviewed in one of them, and he told this story about how one time he was asked, what was your most embarrassing experience? And he said that it was, I can't remember what year it was, but he was surprised it didn't make the Sports Center's not top 10. But I guess they were jumping over the fence to celebrate after winning the game. I guess his cleats got stuck in the fence and he fell face forward into the ground, which sucks. But yeah, definitely Cole Hamels had a very, very successful career, I would say. Very underrated. Maybe just short of, well, again, playoffs might be able to help there too, but he could maybe contend for the Hall of Fame maybe someday. We'll see, though. I feel like, Big Sexy might have a little bit more of a shot than he does, but I think he could probably stay on the ballot for a decent amount of time. Maybe one day be voted by one of the committee members. He had a solid career. Very underrated player for sure. All right. There's another guy who hasn't played for quite a few years, but he only officially retired just the other week. Jose Bautista. Jose Bautista, like Bartolo Colon, has not played in the majors since 2018. He never really officially retired, though, until just now. Bautista signed a one-day contract with the Toronto Blue Jays to officially retire as a Blue Jay. And now, of course, I couldn't find a PNG image of him with the Blue Jays, but the last one I could find with him with the Mets. In his last season, where he split the year with the Braves, Mets, and Phillies, all in the National League East. Bautista, who's now 42 years old, he was not really ever that highly touted. He didn't have a path to stardom. He wasn't a high draft pick or a top prospect. He was selected by the Pirates in the 20th round of the 2000 draft. And he would kind of go over the place before finally settling in Toronto. He was selected by the Orioles in the Rule 5 draft in 2004. And then he cleared waivers by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time. He was then traded to the Royals and the Mets, and then back to the Pirates, where he would stick with the Pirates for a couple years, mostly at third base, but some outfield. And he had some potential to play. I remember when he was with the Pirates, I'm like, this guy has a nice looking swing. I think he probably could, be a solid player. He, of course, though, was only hitting probably about 15, 16 home runs a season. I thought this guy could probably get to 20, 25 homers if he was really consistent. Now, in 2008, though, he was definitely starting to fall off the radar a little bit with the Pirates. And, of course, prospects were on their way. In 2008, in August, he was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays. And he was definitely one of those scrap heap pickups. You didn't expect him to turn out to be the player he was. The player to be named, of course, he was traded for was Robinson Diaz. And he basically it was a very, just throwaway transaction. But of course, he didn't know how that would change his career. His first full year of the Blue Jays, 2009, wasn't really that noteworthy. He had 13 home runs, although the Blue Jays had a new hitting coach. And he always was telling the story about how there was some developments in his swing that he helped him. He would add in a leg kick into his swing. And he started spending more time in right field with a strong throwing arm being a good fit for the spot. In 2010, because I remember he told a story, and basically the first game he added his new little leg kick technique into his swing. He hit a home run. And in 2010, I think he hit 4 in the first month. And by the end of May, he was on a roll. I remember he had 18 home runs at the end of May. And I'm like, what the heck's Jose Bautista doing about the swing? And about hitting home runs like this? Where was this at the Pirates? And of course he does, that's when he came up the interview saying, the tips he got from the Blue Jays hitting coach about something with just a slight adjustment with a leg kick helped his swing. Now, he only had 24 home runs by the All-Star break, which I believe is the least amount, for a Major League leader around the All-Star break. He then hit another 30 after the All-Star break, and he hits 54 setting a new Blue Jays record for, of course, home runs after the All-Star break and, for a single season. He drew a lot of walks. He hit probably about 260. Of course, the only thing is, though, like I said, the only thing that came, though, with this new swing is that he was mainly a pull hitter. Of all those 54 home runs, I think only the one of them, which was his 54th of the season, was the only one that went opposite field. Most of them were like left, center. But yeah, just one little change in technique, and this guy was like bombing home runs out of the building, which I thought was pretty cool to see. Of course, he would then sign a new 5-year deal after that, with a club option for 2016. He, of course, his patience in play improved. He was starting to hit a little bit better for average the following year. I remember the following year, he got to a super hot start. Had 31 home runs by the All-Star break, but he only had 43 that year. And again, he actually was still like up there in MVP voting as well. From 2012 to 2016, though, he would hit between 22 and 40 home runs. Unfortunately, though, again, he did suffer a couple of injuries, and I think if he didn't get injured, he probably could have gotten to 400 homers. I think he got to 335. But of course, him and Edwin Encarnacion, who also took off with his career with the Blue Jays, probably a little change of swing as well. They basically were pushing each other, but of course they didn't have the rest of the team to help them get above 500. Of course, the Blue Jays finally got to the playoffs back in 2015 when they added stars like Josh Donaldson, Russell Martin, Troy Tulowitzki, David Price, and of course they got to the playoffs for the first time since 1993. Now, of course, there was that famous moment. Well, first off, that's right. The famous moment, though, 2015, 2016, 1 and 2, where Jose Bautista hit that big, go-ahead home run in the 7th inning that sent them to the ALCS, and the famous, bat flip that led him into a fight with Rougned Odor the following year with the Rangers. But yeah, it was... Every time, I literally just go to a ball field and just swing the bat for the fun of it, not during an actual, softball game or something. Whenever I get a big hit, I always got to do the Jose Bautista bat flip. It was that cool, of course, to see do. Again, a lot of issues there. But, of course, afterwards he took a qualifying... He was given a qualifying offer. He rejected it, but then returned on a 1-year deal. Hitting 23 home runs in 2017, but then his overall production fell to just a 2.03 ERA. He then was getting journeyman status in 2018, bouncing between the Braves, Mets, and Phillies, and he did not sign, but he also, apparently, I didn't know this, he tried to come back as a two-way player. He started doing some pitching. He played for the Dominican Republic team in 2020, Tokyo Olympics. And, of course, that got affected by the pandemic. Unfortunately, though, again, he never did make it back to the majors. But, again, that was a cool, fun fact. I never knew that Jose Bautista tried to be a two-way player, which is pretty cool. He played 1,798 career games, and he launched 344 home runs, which I was close. I thought it was 335, but 344, like I said. There was a couple seasons where he suffered some injuries. Had it not been for that, I think he could have gotten to 400. But that was pretty cool. Again, he made 6 straight All-Star appearances from 2010 to 2015. Led the league in home runs twice. Had a couple of Hank Aaron Awards and 3 Silver Sluggers. And again, he was definitely one of the best for sure in Blue Jays history. Basically someone you didn't think would be, but he was. So congratulations to Jose Bautista on a great career and officially retiring with the Blue Jays. And the fourth one, last but not least, is Daniel Murphy. Now, Daniel Murphy also has not played since, I think, 2018 or somewhere around there. When was the last time he played? I think it was 2018, yeah. But Daniel Murphy just recently tried to make a comeback to the majors, but then he has retired again. He had played with the Angels in their minor league system, but then, of course, it didn't really, pan out. And he is gone back again. And I've already talked about him before, so he's back into retirement now. So not much to really say there, but just a little nod there. And that is going to do it, guys, because it is now 3 o'clock in the morning. I still got to upload this video. I got to get to bed. But tomorrow I will be doing the transactions and hopefully some video game stuff as well. So, guys, thank you as always. Give your guys' thoughts on these 4 players who just recently announced their retirements, even though most of them haven't played in like 3 to 5 years, but they're officially retired now. Leave your guys' thoughts again down in the comment section below. Make sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'm going to catch you guys all later. So you guys have a great rest of your night. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion. That is a fact of life. Yeah.